Stress is something that all of us experience. It is something that we cannot entirely avoid, and stress is not really bad because it helps us to deal with issues that need our attention, challenges, sometimes even threatening situations. So stress is not something that we need to find ways to avoid because it is not entirely avoidable. But the way we cope with it is what really matters, and that's what we are going to be talking about today. So welcome to Regenerate, and today we are going to look at what stress is, why we experience stress, some of the symptoms, some of the signs that you can have that tell you that you have stress or someone else, and ways in which we can try and manage. We are talking about managing it because it's not something that you can entirely wish away or do away with. So, according to WHO, stress is defined as worry or mental tension which is caused by a challenging situation. It is a mental it is mental tension which is caused by something that is challenging, as a challenging situation. And the way we cope with stress is actually what matters. It's what may mean sickness or health for us, depending on how we manage stress. And stress is different people respond to stress in different ways, and the way we respond to stress has a lot to do with a lot of factors, our personalities, our experiences in life, uh, and such things. So, what else is going on with you in your life at that time? So, there's a lot that determines how we respond to stress. And stress is mentally and physically uh, impactful to us. It's not something that just affects one area of our lives. It's something that affects you as the whole person. And what are some of the signs that you can look out for in order to determine that you or someone else has stress? Things like headaches, unexplained headaches, irritability, anxiety, being unable to relax, being restless, lack of sleep, or issues with sleep, sometimes stomach upsets or stomach problems, digestive problems, difficulties in concentrating. Sometimes your appetite is also affected. And as we have said, different people do respond differently. And as at the same time, different people experience different symptoms of stress. So some of the things I've mentioned are not experienced by everyone. There are some people who don't get headaches, but they get digestive issues. There are some people who do not necessarily become anxious per se, but they may lose their appetite may be affected in one way or another. But why do we experience stress? Just because of various issues in our lives. Right now, in our country and in our region, there's a lot of heavy rain going on. A lot of us are affected in big ways. There's a lot of flooding, and that in itself is causing a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. There are some people whose homes are being flooded every time it rains, and so that is an example of something that is going to affect different people depending on where you live and how the rains are affecting you. And there are very many ways stress can come your way. If you're preparing for exams, for instance, you will definitely be stressed. If something is going on around the home, if someone sick, if there's someone, if there are issues within your relationships that are not working well, those are areas that, or those are issues that are bound to cause stress. But it is how you are going to respond to the stress that you're experiencing that is going to determine whether you'll be okay or you may not be very okay. So what are some of the factors that determine or that affect our vulnerability to stress? How does stress affect? What is it about us that causes us to experience stress? One of the things that is a factor in how stress affects us is your genetics. There are some people who are more prone to being stressed than others. There are people who are more resilient. There are some people who who find themselves more stressed than others, even if it is the same issue that is causing stress. Even if, for instance, it's let's say there is a sickness in the family, there are some members of that family who will not be as affected by the sickness within the family than others. So it depends a lot on your genetics or your genetic makeup, your personality type, your coping style, your profession also, the level of your support system. How supportive is your support system? How strong is your support system? If you have a strong support system, it helps you even when you're going through stress, because you're not as you don't feel alone. The load is not too much on you. There are people around you who are helping you, take care of whatever is going on, and encouraging you and helping you to deal with it. So your support system, the level of your support system plays a big role. The other factors that cause you to experience stress are issues like being discriminated against. So, for example, if someone is going through discrimination as a result of maybe their color or their economic status or their gender or their race or their religious affiliation, all those things, if you're being discriminated against as a result of all these things, you will definitely experience stress. The other factor that plays a role in how you get affected by stress is if you suffered childhood trauma. People who went through trauma as children, they have a higher threshold of experiencing stress in their life, even in their adult lives. And so these are some of the factors that play a role in making you vulnerable to stress. So, how do we manage stress? Because we have said that stress is not going to go away. It's not something we can wish away. There is always something in life that is going to cause you stress at one point or the other. So there are various ways of dealing with stress, and we will look at some of them. One, there's stress that you can avoid, avoidable stress, or there's a way that you can avoid stress, and we look at some of the things you can do in order to avoid stress. If you cannot avoid stress, you can alter the stressor, meaning you may not necessarily avoid it, but you can alter the situation that is causing stress. And we will also look at some of the things that you can do, or some of the activities you can engage in that can help you alter the situation, either to stop uh, the incidents from happening in future, or at least to minimize. If you cannot avoid, you cannot alter, you can also adapt yourself. Now you can adapt to the situation. There are some things you cannot entirely avoid, and you may not alter the situation. So you can adapt yourself to how you respond to it. There is also you accepting. You can accept stress in or a stressful situation, because there are situations you cannot really change at all, at all, at all. And so in avoiding stress, and like we have said, not all stress can be avoided, but there are some definitely that you can avoid. One of the ways you can avoid stress is saying no, learning to say no. There are some people who experience stress simply because they are not able to say no. And therefore, they are able, there's a way that they carry a lot of load or a lot of burdens from other people. Sometimes they take on responsibilities or take on tasks that are not necessarily theirs, and they simply needed to say no. So, for example, um, someone may feel the need to just stay indoors over the weekend because they've had a tough week. They want to rest. They want to just recharge. Sorry, and then a friend comes and says, "I need to go someplace. I need some company. Please go with me." And this person, as much as she had already set herself to staying indoors and resting and doing whatever it is she would want to do to recharge and to feel refreshed, she finds it very hard to say no to the friend for whatever reason. It may be she doesn't want to upset the friend, or she doesn't want to say no. So she will say yes. But she will not say yes because she wants to go. She will say yes because she doesn't have she doesn't she doesn't know how to say no. She finds it hard to say no. So she will go, she will be more stressed, she'll be tired. By the time she comes back, she'll be more tired. The time she had set to, just rest and relax is already taken up. And so learning to say no is very, very, very important. It is one of the ways that you can avoid a lot of stress. And it also happens at work. If you have a colleague who probably would pushes some tasks to you because they know that you can help, learn to say no. If you cannot be able to, if you have enough on your plate, say no, let them handle their own stuff. So learning to say no is one of the ways you can avoid stress. The other way you can avoid stress, and we are talking about stress that is avoidable. One of the other ways you can do that is avoid people who stress you out. And we all know those people. There are some people, if I make contact with so and so, or if I hang around so and so, I am bound to be stressed. So if you have identified such people in your lives, if you can avoid them, just stay away from them. If you can't, especially because they are either you work with them or they are family members, there are family members also who will stress you, then if it's possible to minimize your interaction with them, then do that. So avoiding people who stress you out is also good. The other one is taking control over your environment, meaning look around you. What is it that stresses you? And I'll give you an example. If you do not like traffic, if you don't like driving through traffic in the morning, because by the time you get to work, you're already stressed, you're tired. But from where you live to the place that you get to your work, if I leave home at a certain time, I am bound to encounter traffic. Then just take control over that situation, that environment, and just leave home a little earlier. So you can decide, instead of leaving home at 7, then leave home at 6. It will just mean waking up a little earlier and leaving home a little earlier. And a difference of a few minutes can make a whole difference. That way, you have no control over traffic because traffic is out there, but you have control over that. You can avoid that traffic just by taking charge of that of your environment, or taking a different route. If I pass through a certain route, I am bound to encounter traffic. Then you can use probably a longer route, but it will help you avoid that particular stressor. The other point is, or the other one of the other things you can do to avoid stress is